So a few days ago, there was an interview with Shun Nakamura and a few other developers in Sonic Team, and eventually the question of Sonic remakes came up, and surprisingly, he responded that if given the opportunity, he would really want to make a Sonic 06 remake. So naturally, Twitter does what Twitter does best. Be miserable, and start a discussion. And the misery follows suit usually. So, the talk of a Sonic 06 remake is now on the table. Now, if you remember, earlier in the year, I made a whole video on Sonic remakes, and 06 was the one I would want to see the most. So I think that since the discussion is going on, I might as well throw my hat into the ring and expand on what I think and how I would make my ideal Sonic 06 remake. Now, how would I go about this? Well, it might seem crazy what I'm about to say. It's no surprise that I adore the Final Fantasy VII remakes, and when it comes to remakes, I think the Final Fantasy VII series does it the best. When it comes to taking the original and changing it to feel fresh and new, and basically making a completely new game, while also respecting the original so that old and new fans are happy. So when I talk about the 06 remakes, I'm going to use the FF7 remakes as a reference. So by the end of this, while yeah, it's going to be Sonic 06 in name and spirit, I basically want this game to be more of a reimagining rather than a remake. So let's talk about the story first, because I know that for some reason this is the most controversial part. When it shouldn't, Sonic 06 story is not good at all. All the characters are really boring and unlikable. The story has way too many plot holes, and overall is just convoluted just for the sake of being convoluted. So I think that it 100% needs a rewrite. Not like a editing here or there, a rewrite. Not even FF7 style, where it's original, but some plot points are changed. Like, it needs to be rewritten, because the ideas it has are really cool, like Silver, Mephiles, Iblis, even Elise. Despite her character being basic as cardboard, there's potential there, and the idea of time travel is also captivating. And the game also has so many cool moments, like the intro, or the scene where Sonic and Elise escape the egg carrier, or the iconic shadow scene. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's cool, but aura and hype moments cannot carry the story. So how would I go about this? What I would do is bring back the original writers, Yoshimura and Maekawa, but also bring in Ian Flynn. Now, I know a few of you are already going into the comments to send me death threats, but I don't care. Ian Flynn is a great writer for the games, and time and again, ever since Frontiers, he has proven to me that he can write the characters well. So bring back Yoshimura and Maekawa for the premise and overall story, and bring in Ian Flynn to help fill in the plot holes and write the dialogue for the characters. With this absolute powerhouse of a writer's team, we can get Sonic 06 to be one of the best written stories in Sonic history, with the characters that are actually likable and not annoying, with a story that makes sense. Holy crap, who would have thought? And since we're on the story, voice actors. Keep the new voice actors. That means Roger as Sonic, Kirk as Shadow, Colleen as Tails, etc, etc. And I know for sure y'all are gonna get pissy at me, but I don't fucking care. The new cast just brings way better performances than the old cast. They actually sound like their natural voices instead of anime VAs. We've seen since Sonic Frontiers and Shadow Generations that with a good voice direction, these current voice actors can put on some of the best performances that we've seen in the Sonic series, especially Kirk. I think for me, he is well deserving of being the Shadow VA for the foreseeable future. And I've always liked Roger as Sonic and Colleen as Tails, and especially in the recent games, he's definitely been at his best. So I have no problem. The rest of the cast, like Amy, Knuckles, Tails, Eggman, they can all stay. Silver, however, I actually wouldn't mind the old voice actor coming back. His whole character is based off of Trunks, and the old voice actor kinda does make Silver sound like Trunks. So I wouldn't mind the old voice actor coming back. Also, I just don't really mess with the new voice actor. It kinda doesn't sound like Silver. I don't know. But besides that, all the modern voice actors is a must. Now to the gameplay. Now I've said this before, but I think it would be ingenious if they made Sonic 06 an open world Sonic game. I mean, we had hubs in the original, but they were boring, bland, and the challenges to doing them were really bad. So here, we are going to have a complete makeover. I want to either have one massive open world where all of the hubs connect and are cohesive, adding to the new areas that connected to places like the desert, White Acropolis, etc. Or have 3 to 4 separate open zones where each one is more fleshed out, and the access stages already work like how they do in Frontiers, where you have to go to a portal and you have to unlock it with some challenge. If I was making the game, I would want to make it one massive open world where everything feels cohesive. It would be really cool to see Soliana remade to actually accommodate for Sonic's playstyle. Like, we would have Sonic running on top of the buildings and jump off to the tower, and we could have Soliana Castle be like a little platforming section. Then you can like seamlessly go to the grasslands, and if it was seamless, it would be really cool to see like maybe a platforming area for you to get there, like a little mini level to get to the grasslands. We've seen in Shadow Generations what it would look like if level assets were put into the open world with Kingdom Valley. Guess what game that's from? We can see in this game like Kingdom Valley assets in the open world. It would feel so cool and it would feel natural, and it's just right there. It's like it's like we're giving them the alley-oop and they just have to make the basket. With that, we can have so many open world platforming sections that make the whole world feel fleshed out instead of this. And progression would be similar to Frontiers with a bit of Shadow Generations, where you have to collect collectibles to unlock the levels to progress the story. But what I would do is add side quests from NPCs like the original around the world, and those would either grant you a greater amount of collectibles or items that Sonic and Co can use. And of course, I would like to add extra stuff like concept arts and secret items, kind of like Shadow Generations, into the levels and into the open world, just to add replayability. But I also want a bigger emphasis on side quests that are almost like their own story, and completing them would grant you big rewards like an exclusive item that you can only get from that mission. And so not only would it encourage you to play, but it would expand the world and the lore of Soliana and the whole world in general. Now, how big would it be? I'm not sure, because I would say it has to be at least double the size of maybe Chaos Island, because it is a lot of area that you have to cover, and it has to make sense. But it doesn't have to be crazy big, because yes, like the original, I will be keeping the different playable characters in the multiple playable stories like Sonic, Shadow, and Silver, so you're going to be playing this game a lot. Speaking of the other playable characters, how would each character play? I think I like how Sonic and Shadow play in Project 06. I think it's really good, but I would really want them to lean more into the Adventure 1 feeling with a faster Sonic, and where Sonic and Shadow's roles carry way more momentum and speed. But Silver, I think Silver needs to be a bit more intuitive and have better flow. I'm sorry, but when in the extremely rare case when I play Sonic 06, I never go back to play Silver unless I'm in Project 06. And even then, I think his sense of flow is still not the best. And that's not really Project 06's fault, that's just how Silver is made. But I think what they need to do with Silver is what they did with Shadow in Shadow Generations, where all of his Doom powers are easy to use and help him aid in keeping moving forward to the level. And I think Silver is perfect for this. So what I would change is that I would make all of his moves be more movement based. Increase his base movement speed at least to match Shadow, if not Sonic's. Have his hover carry his momentum when he uses it to encourage experimentation within the level design. And just a little bonus here, if he jumps on an enemy's head, have him increase some height and also refill a little bit of his hover meter so that you can experiment a little more, and it adds a bit of a skill gap to be like, okay, I have to do this and do this to gain more height. Then have his attack, like his Psychokinesis, be a one button press like Chaos Sphere, so that you're not spending all your time holding the button, aiming it, turning Silver every time, so you want to know where to throw the enemy. Kind of like with Doom Blast, even though Doom Blast is a bit more similar to how Silver controls, it's used very sparingly and quickly, right? It doesn't feel as long as Silver's moves. Make it feel that way with Silver, and naturally his level design will be changed to accommodate. I think for Shadow and Sonic, the level design is one of the things in Base 06 that I think was really good, and I think for the remake, they do not need to change them. I think just expanding them and making them a little bit bigger just to accommodate for their faster speeds is all they really gotta do. But for Silver, since I'm making him much faster, his more traditional platforming type levels just are not gonna work. So how I would build it is build it around his powers. Have the stages be more speed focused, but allowing a lot of experimentation with his powers. Basically making him way more movement based and giving the players chances to look around the level for alternate paths that you can use his powers to get to. The side characters, they can all play exactly like they do in Project 06. I think they're handled perfectly there. Now that we covered the story and gameplay, let's go over some housekeeping stuff. bugs, bro. Bugs. This shit cannot have a single bug, not a single glitch, not a single mistake. This game has to be the most polished Sonic game, hell, the most polished game that has ever been developed in mankind, because I know if there is one bug anywhere in this remake, the annoying motherfuckers are gonna come out here like, oh, this is just like the original Sonic Team. So please make this game polished. Please, Sega, I need this. Next up, the visuals. I think the art style of 06 is inconsistent. It's really good in the CGI cutscenes and in the levels, but in the open hubs and everywhere else, it's fucking ugly, man. So what I would try to do is keep the art style consistent to the levels and make that art style throughout the whole game. And I think it's way easier now since we are all like 3 generations ahead of Sonic 06 now. So I don't think it should be that hard. And the models, man, the fucking models are so ugly, man. As a kid, I never liked them, and as an adult, I don't like them. They look creepy and like kind of lifeless, especially in the cutscenes where they have like 2 emotions max. So what I would do is just use the models used in the CGI cutscenes as a reference and make new models based off of them. So you keep the art style, but they actually look good. And Eggman, for God's sake, please bring us normal Eggman back, please. And then you might be saying, I know someone's saying, but it clashes with the realistic people. Fucking crazy idea. Let's not make the people realistic. I think what they have right now with like the anime kind of style, what they have like Maria, Gerald, and Sage, that is perfect. The perfect design for Sonic humans. They just make that art style and we're settled. It blends with Sonic and his crew in the real world. It makes sense. And yeah, animations. Please make better animations. That's a no-brainer. Those need to be improved as well. And I think that about does it. If I were to make a Sonic 06 remake, that's how I would do it. Yeah, it ended up being a completely different game from the original, but that's not a bad thing, because you would be very hard-pressed to find someone who actually likes Sonic 06. And besides, what's the point of a remake if it's just the same game but with better graphics and controls? That's just a remaster. You want a remaster. And I want a game that takes the idea of the original and expands it and improves upon them. I don't just want the same game with better graphics just to preserve the authenticity. I don't fucking care. I want a better game. Besides, literally anything they fucking do would probably be better than what came before. And that's how I would make a Sonic 06 remake. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down below, what would you want in a hypothetical Sonic 06 remake? I know this is all just speculation, because they never even said they're developing it or even thinking about it. They just said they would like to do it, right? So I thought it was just a nice conversation. Oh my god, Twitter has been fucking falling apart because of this, because some people don't know how to handle situations, but I'm not gonna get into that. But that's really all I have to say. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one. There, I serenaded you for that this time.